What's poppin', y'all? I'm here to talk about the super awesome, unique take I have for the Gothitelle line. So before I even talk about anything, look at the screen. If you look at the top part here, I'm not going to have this on the screen the whole video, so just pause it and read this now. I'll be reading from it later in the video, but this is like a very basic explanation of why I did the type change on the top of your screen right now. So pause that and read if you want. But yeah, right here. So if you're new here, shout out to you. I appreciate you. Click on the video. I'll get into explaining everything you see on your screen in just a second. But before I get into all that fun stuff, I need to have a quick disclaimer for new people to check out the description. I've got a bullet point list that kind of covers all of the basic key points about the ROM hack to give you a lot of the background information you might need. And then when you're done with the video, you can check out all my other ones. I have videos for every other Pokemon. And most importantly, I have a move guide on the Google Sheet linked down below as well. It has tons of other important information, of course. The Google Sheet is a staple, but that move guide, I don't have time to cover every single little move buff and change in this game in every single video. So I have videos going over it, and honestly, I would say the easiest way to understand the moves is just to scroll through in order and go through it that way. I appreciate all my returning viewers who sit through these intros. I really do. It means a lot. Make sure you drop a like, comment, and sub if you haven't already. It really does help support my work. And yeah, with all that being said, I can talk about Gothitelle now. So, Psychic Dark, or Fairy Dark, excuse me. Psychic Dark, of course, also makes sense. So, I never, dude, people like to be contrarian sometimes, right? They'll be like, because Dark Gothitelle is like a relatively common idea, I think, in ROM hacks. And some people love to be like, oh, it doesn't actually make sense to be dark type, blah, blah, blah. But it really, it does on so many levels. The design element is obvious, right? It's got the whole gothic aesthetic, the dark colors, whatever. That's already like enough of a reason for some people. If that isn't convincing enough for you, you know, the whole goth aesthetic, I get it. There is so much like Pokedex lore or personality things with these guys that screams like dark type. So I'll read some stuff to you. I'm gonna explain the dark typing first, then I'll explain the fairy typing, okay? So, you know, it'll spirit away sleeping children. Some people call it the Witch of Punishment. It'll hypnotize children, put them to sleep, carry them away. It controls sleeping children. They use hypnosis to control people and Pokemon. Gothitelle leads people astray, etc., right? It's very, very, like, I mean, even, like, in vanilla, like, its learn set is, like, tons of dark moves, too. There's all sorts of reasons this thing should be dark type. Like, actually, I lied about the level up learn set. I thought it was more, but it doesn't really matter anyways. Just like everything about their entries, man, especially Gothitelle specifically, but yeah, very much dark type, very much like manipulative, controlling children, stealing children, like that's a very dark type thing to do, right? There's even some things about like Gothitelle, like seeing the death of the universe or some shit, right? Yeah, it shows opponents dreams of the universe's end. I don't know, man. It acts attached because it's seen the end of all existence. You know, all that stuff very much seems like a dark type to me. On top of the design itself, right? The goth dark aesthetic. So that's the dark typing explained. Now, so the reason it's not psychic dark, there's two big reasons. Number one, there's already tons of psychic dark types in this game. I believe there's like 5 or 6 of them, and finding 3 ability slots that are unique and also make sense and also are good and worth using over one another, like for example in this case all 3 of your abilities have use over each other, it's very difficult to plan all that, and it's just way more limiting. And also, like, this thing genuinely does fit fairy typing, you know, a lot of the Pokedex. So the thing is, fairy and psychic are like they have a lot of overlap in some ways, like the whole starlight thing, which is what you know, the whole space / starlight theme that Gothitelle also has. You know, like seeing the universe's end, it's starry skies. Holy shit. Starry skies thousands of light years away are visible in the space distorted by their intense psychic power. You know, all of these entries talking about stars shining in the night sky, getting their energy from starry nights or starlight or outer space. That all screams fairy, as well as, like for example, Clefable, right? That's a space-themed Pokemon that is not psychic type, it's fairy type. So space can be fairy or psychic. So there you go. This type change took 4.5 minutes to explain, but it is what it is. That's the gist of it. So I made them a Fairy Dark type with Psychic Surge, which is super fucking cool. Fairy Dark obviously has lots of good resistances, great offensive combo, and then you get that triple stab with, for example, I gave them Expanding Force at level 35, right? Which means that you have like powerful Psychic move super early on into the game, so that really encourages the use of Psychic Surge. On top of all the other obvious benefits of Psychic Surge, which is like, you know, it makes you immune to priority, which is great because there's tons of priority moves in this game. It makes you, you know, it overrides other terrain. So if the AI has like a grassy or electric terrain team, you can send in your Psychic Surge and override that. It can support your teammates through the use of Psychic Seed or Terrain Pulse, which every special attacker in the game gets now. So yeah, tons of great applications of Psychic Surge, very fun ability. And then you have two other awesome abilities as well. So Energy Shield is shared. So as you guys know, Reuniclus, maybe you don't know, Reuniclus and Gothitelle have sort of like a dichotomy going on, at least in the original games, like their version counterparts. I think giving them both, like they're 3-stage originally Psychic type Pokemon, right? So I think giving them Energy Shield for both of them is a really cool little nod to that, and also it's just a very fitting ability for both of them, and it's obviously a very good ability. Gothitelle itself is already very tanky now. I mean, 85, 95, 125. It's got tons of heal moves like Wish and Moonlight, and then just that having that Energy Shield is so useful, because even Soul Absorb as well to heal yourself. So you can be very stally with Energy Shield, or you can just use it offensively. Like I would say most of the time you're going to be abusing Energy Shield on this Pokemon because it's just such a consistently useful ability in most boss fights. Unless you specifically need Magic Bounce or Psychic Surge's utility, you're going to be using Energy Shield, right? Even just to like switch in and kill something with like a Quick Claw or a Choice Scarf or whatever, right? Or just to take a hit and eject button out or teleport or whatever it may be. Energy Shield is great for that, and obviously it fits the whole Psychic Starlight space theme they have going on. You know, I can see them sort of like creating a barrier to like block themselves. And also it kind of nods to Shadow Tag, Shadow Shield, Shadow Tag. I think it's kind of cute too. Obviously Shadow Tag is gone because this is a ROM hack. The AI is not ever going to fucking hard switch. It's a useless ability. So no Shadow Tag. I hope that's obvious. I probably should have explained that early on, because some people, especially if you're a new viewer, you might get fixated on stuff like that. But yeah. Lastly, Magic Bounce, in terms of abilities, is very useful as well. Kind of has the same vibe to it as Energy Shield, right? They've got the whole magic, starlight vibe going on. Cosmic, you know, predicting the future, all that shit, right? Magic Bounce is a cool ability to nod to all that, to those elements of Gothitelle. And it's very useful because the AI will often lead off with like anti-setup things like Taunt or a sleep-inducing move or para-inducing move. So being able to bounce that back and then go for example, late game you have shit like Trick Room, which is insane to get a free Trick Room on a Pokemon like this. You could do Room Service if you need to underspeed something, but honestly, depending on the boss fight, say you want to get a couple turns of Trick Room going, you might not even need to use Room Service, and you have tons of high base power options to blast through things. You can even do like cool like special attack dropping moves. For example, you have like Twilight Cannon, Radiant Outburst, and Cycle Boost, which are like Draco Meteor variants. You could use those in conjunction with like crit moves like Subspace Tear or Night Days to bypass your special attack drop with Trick Room up. That's pretty dope. Even just those two moves in general. I mean, this thing has tons of coverage too, right? Like I throw an Ice Beam because of the whole like cosmic type of vibe. I don't know. I personally see it. Obviously they got shit like Aura Sphere and T-Bolt and Energy Ball and their duals, Burning Jealousy. Meteor Beam is pretty fucking nuts with Trick Room because you can get off the Trick Room freely with Magic Bounce and then power of Meteor Beam, blow something up and get a boost, and then abuse the last 2 turns of Trick Room at that point it would be, because 1 turn passes Meteor Beam. No, 3 turns. Yeah, you have plenty of turns, man. So very strong with Trick Room, and also even earlier in the game having Magic Bounce just to like bounce back. You could do all sorts of useful utility things, right? Like Taunt or Teleport or Charm or Will-O-Wisp or whatever. Screens, you know, all sorts of Hypnosis, all sorts of really cool things you can take advantage of with Magic Bounce, even early game, right? So while it is, I would say, the most niche of your 3 abilities, it still has great applications, especially late game once you get those setup moves. And then you also have that exclusive Lunar Dance, which is really fucking strong. So I did give it like space-themed moves in Mystical Power, Cosmic Power, Lunar Blessing, Lunar Dance, all just to kind of accentuate the whole theming they have going on. So Lunar Dance is a very strong boosting move, so strong I was debating not giving it to them because of how strong it is with Magic Bounce, because it's just like a free setup on turn 1 most of the time. But I was like, fuck it, it's at the end of the game, I'll let him have it for now. And then Mystical Power also is very strong with both Trick Room and Lunar Dance. Essentially, it's like Meteor Beam, but it doesn't require an item. And it also gives you, I mean, I guess you could even use it for speed boosting, but mostly you're using it for the special attack boost. And then you just can blow things up, and it's just a very fun, strong move. So you can use any item you want with that, unlike Meteor Beam, which, while is much earlier on and also is Rock type versus Psychic, you get the idea. There's differences there. Lunar Blessing, that's another great heal move, which is really cool, specifically with Energy Shield. It's kind of cool, actually. I just noticed this as I'm saying it out loud. Gothitelle and Reuniclus both have another parallel in Energy Shield plus Life Dew / Lunar Blessing. Life Dew is the same thing as Lunar Blessing, meaning it's a 1 PP like priority full heal move. I think it's really cool. So they can like replenish their Energy Shield, both of them, very easily. Just by, I mean, Reuniclus obviously has like the Black Sludge shit going on too, but I'll cover that in the next video. You can check that one out tomorrow, or if you're watching this on release, or if you're watching this later. I appreciate you clicking. And the video should be out, so you can check that one out after this. But I think I've covered pretty much all the super important like key points here. You know, the magic bounce setup stuff in the end game, the psychic surge, psycho boost, expanding force, utility. Even early game, you've got like extrasensory mind pulse, you know, psychic moves there. Great utility, even stuff like encore with magic bounce. I mean, this thing can do so many fun things. I know I just said the word thing twice, but yeah, they've got all sorts of fun tools, healing options, offensive options, utility options, and overall, very, very cool changes. You know, for a very previously, in my opinion, very boring, unappealing Pokemon, I think I gave it a lot of really sick new things. So yeah, thanks. Also, I'm a sucker for triple type Pokemon in general, like triple type in quotes, right? Where it's like they have the properties of multiple types. I think that's really sick. So yeah, shout out to you if you made it to the end. I know this is a little bit of longer. Not really. Actually, it wasn't that long. So yeah, I do appreciate y'all making it to the end of these. Drop a comment. Let me know who you are. You know, show yourself. And I'll be back for more coming up, y'all. There's a couple other small things I could touch on, like, you know, Doom Desire is great on this thing. Future Sight's great. Fucking all sorts of other small things. Like Eternal Beam is a great move too. All these other really fun things. But I trust that you all, especially if you made it to the end, already know about all that stuff. So I'll leave it off here. And I thank you for listening. Peace. Drop a comment.